1. We are going to the part 1 we are talking about is mainly an introduction and the basics issues. So to conserve this soil and this land and water is very, very important, because without these two basic resources we cannot have adequate food production, and we cannot talk of food security in the world today. So, and the soil and water conservation engineering, by this we mean applying all engineering principles in order to safeguard these two basic resources for greater output, or for you to maximize, optimize the inputs of the inputs in everything you are doing, so as to achieve food security. And also, the utilization matters. Are you utilizing them in a proper way, or are you utilizing it in a direction that will not benefit your target or your objective, what you have in mind? So, because of that, we know that conservation is a management tool which seeks to improve farm productivity or farm profitability for us to achieve what we want per unit input. And conservation farming has two major objectives. One, to maintain production of profitable high-yielding crops. One, maintenance or maintaining high profitable yield. And second, to conserve these our resources, conserve energy, soil, water, and other input resources. And these input resources could be your fertilizer, it could be your herbicides, it could be your wood size, and so on and so forth. Those things you input into the farming operations in order to achieve your target. So, and this, to a great deal, the success of conserving these two land resources brings about success or failure in agricultural production or agricultural productivity. Now, the soil, the water are important for plant growth. And plants cannot grow in a dry soil. They will die, they will wither. They need water. So that is why we need to conserve this. So water provides the needed moisture. Erosion control. Then, D, you have another aspect, hydrology. Hydrology, a component of soil and water conservation engineering. You have another one, you can call it watershed management. Watershed management. The list can go on and on and on, because as researches evolve, many things are coming into play. So, all these components, we shall take them one after the other. as the lectures go on, the subsequent lectures. But now let us talk about irrigation. Irrigation is the application of water to the soil to provide the needed moisture for plant growth. The irrigation can be total irrigation and it can be supplemental irrigation. So it is supplemental, you can say supplemental irrigation or total. Is supplemental when part of the water needed comes from rainfall and some from artificial application. Can be artificial application when some come from artificial means. Or from rainfall. If part of the water is brought in externally, if part of the water is brought in from somewhere to apply, and some part from rainfall, that is supplemental. In that case, you are bringing in artificial water or water from elsewhere to supplement the natural one, the natural rain. So when part of the water is from somewhere and part from the rain, you call it supplemental. But when all the water needed, all the amount of water, all the water input comes from artificial, from external, then you term it total irrigation. So total when every water is artificially applied. So that is the supplement, that is the total irrigation. Now, in this irrigation we are talking about, we have some methods of water application. Basically, let me go with this. Basically, we have about 4 methods of applying this irrigation water, especially when it is total. We have the first, called surface irrigation method. This is when your water is flowing on the surface. When you apply it at the surface, there you have pipes or some other aspects of it. You have the furrow, you have the border, and so on. That is the surface irrigation of water application method. Then the second is also subsurface. You have subsurface irrigation. As the name implies, subsurface, the water that supplies the needed moisture comes from underground. It comes from underground. And in this subsurface, it could be natural and it could be man-made. It is natural when you in your plot of land, when you have an area that the valley bottoms or the groundwater comes up by itself and provides the needed moisture. That is the subsurface. So the water below the soil. Then you have another one, the third method of irrigation water application. you have a sprinkler. You have sprinkler application, or otherwise you can call it overhead. You can say overhead. Sprinkler irrigation or overhead. In this aspect, water comes to the crop as from above the growth, depending on the method you are using. The water falls back, you inject it into the air, it falls back on the crops, as if they are experiencing rain. And you have various aspects of it. Now, the fourth method, have 1, 2, 3, and 4, is the drip or trickle. You can call it trickle irrigation. Drip or trickle. In this aspect, the water comes close to the infiltration rate and close to the crop root zone. Water is just dropping at intervals, so it is infiltrating as it is dropping. So it's close to the infiltration rate, and the crops take it. So if you talk in terms of the efficiencies of these four, this is the highest. Drip. Its conservation of water is the highest. It has a greater or highest percentage conserving the water. Minimal losses because it's going direct within the crop root zone. And the plants also absorb them as they come. Now, there are some reasons why we apply water to crop irrigation. I said briefly earlier. They include when water is unevenly distributed, inadequate distribution of water, that's of rain, say to say natural rain, then irrigation must be carried out. Because if you don't carry out irrigation, your crops will not survive. And the next advantage, or the next important aspect of irrigation is insurance against drought. It's an insurance against drought, because when there are drought, your crop will not survive. So in adverse conditions, you need happy. And another thing is to increase yield. You increase the yield, because if you supply water at the right time, if you supply water at the right quantity, then the crop will perform as expected, devoid of other challenges, other climatic or health issues relating to the crops. And when the crops perform optimally, the yield is increased, and the farmer or whoever will enjoy his activity. And another aspect, another importance of irrigation is for you to grow advanced crops, to grow superior crops. There are crops that are superior than others. Every crop is important as far as it can be used for human beings or for animals. They are important. But to grow the superior ones, the high yielding ones, the ones you can rely on, you can do them by irrigation. So that at no point in time will you complain of shortage of water. No point in time will you complain of drought. And also, it is needed to grow perennial crops. That's another advantage. Another reason of irrigation, to grow perennial crops. There are some crops, their lifespan are beyond the period of or the season of rain, depending on the location you are. Sometimes rainy season or rainfall lasts 3 months, about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months, in a particular location, while the perennial crops last up to a year or more before they mature. So in that case, you need irrigation for you to grow perennial crops. Because if irrigation is not there, you will not achieve your target. And as such, food security is affected. And with irrigation, another important, you can plant all through the year. You can crop all through the year. As this one is maturing, you can plant another one, provided water is there. Because it's this water that enters, interacts with the soil and dissolves the needed nutrients, assuming you don't bring in external ones. And the crops can get them by means of through osmotic and through all other processes in the soil. So you need it to plant more than once a year. So irrigation is needed, is very, very important. In other words, looking at this, that is why you need to conserve your water and your soil so that you don't run into problems. Maybe we stop here today. We'll continue next time with another aspect of soil and water, another component of soil and water conservation. I listed them earlier. So today we took irrigation. The next lecture we take another aspect. Thank you.